Yo, 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 what is up, guys? It's Cone back here again today with another video. The Denver Nuggets last night got swept in the NBA playoffs by the Phoenix Suns, going out in round two much earlier than they would have liked to. And typically, when a team like the Denver Nuggets gets swept in the second round, way before they were hoping to leave the playoffs, a team with championship aspirations leaves that early in such dominant fashion from the Suns. You would typically think that the team would try and make big moves or that they were screwed, they needed to rebuild, whatever. That's not the case with Denver. In my opinion, the league should be terrified of the Denver Nuggets in the coming seasons. And I'm going to explain to you why. If you remember, at the trade deadline, the Denver Nuggets picked up Aaron Gordon. Now, at the time, it was a move that was, some people really liked it. Some people thought it was, whatever, it doesn't move the needle that much. I was one of the people that really liked it. I thought the Nuggets really needed another guy to take the pressure off Nikola Jokic. And as they headed towards the playoffs, when this team was healthy with Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Will Barton, Paul Millsap, all of these guys were healthy, this team was dominant. Nobody could beat the Denver Nuggets when they were healthy. And the problem was in the playoffs, they weren't healthy. Jamal Murray in early April tore his ACL in a game towards the end against the Golden State Warriors. It was really unfortunate. It was a game that was kind of already over, and he was just trying to make a play to keep his team, get his team back in the game. And unfortunately, it just ended up happening. Hopefully, he's going to be back for a playoff run next season, but they'll probably be without him for most of the season. However, the Nuggets have enough talent to keep themselves afloat while he's gone. Nikola Jokic just won his first MVP award of his career. He could win more, he might not, but up to this point, Nikola Jokic has shown absolutely nothing to show me that he's slowing down anytime soon. He's 26 years old, he's going to be making $30 million next season, and he's up for a pretty big extension going into this next coming offseason. Jokic is going to keep being an MVP level player for at least 5-6 more years, I would assume. Alongside of him, Aaron Gordon, their big pickup at the trade deadline, is only 25, and he was really important to this team throughout their run in both the regular season and in the playoffs. He really underperformed scoring the ball in the playoffs, but that was just, I think, part of the fact that this team didn't have enough offensive weapons with not only Jamal Murray being gone, but important pieces like Will Barton, for example, being missing throughout that first round and the beginning of that second round. They were missing PJ Dozier, who was important to this team for a lot of time. Without three of their top 5 guards, this Nuggets team really just could not keep up with the Phoenix Suns, a team that I think can come out of the Western Conference. And so when I talk about all of that, you probably think to yourself, why should people be scared of the Nuggets? And I think it's because of that stretch that they showed after the trade deadline. I've said this before on Twitter. I think I've said this before in a couple YouTube videos. I think the Denver Nuggets are going to win a championship in the next 3 seasons. Maybe not next year with Jamal Murray recovering from an ACL. Maybe the year after, or maybe not, with Jamal Murray once again still recovering from that ACL. But within those next three seasons, I think this Nuggets team at least comes out of the Western Conference once. And I think they're going to win a finals in that span. Let me explain to you why. Jamal Murray, before going out with the ACL tear, was having a good season. He's had some problems in the past with inconsistencies. I know some people have gotten mad at me when I've said that in the past. It's just true. But this season, he seemed to be kind of figuring it out, and that was coming off of a dominant, and when I say dominant, I don't even think that gives it enough credit, a historic playoff run in the bubble. I know it's the bubble. People are going to go, oh, whatever, a bubble boy, whatever you want to say. Jamal Murray was doing in that series what really no one has ever done in the playoffs before, especially at his young age. He's only 24. So, despite having an ACL injury, which a lot of time can hurt players' careers, in recent memory, we've seen a lot of guys come off those ACL tears and come back even better. A prime example is Zach LaVine. A guy like Jamal Murray who's a dynamic scorer that came off an ACL tear and just got better. More explosive even. So, I think Jamal Murray is going to come back and return to the form we saw him in the playoffs last season. Jamal Murray was putting up 50-point games left and right. He had a ridiculous average in the playoffs that I don't have pulled up right now, but the numbers are so crazy, I don't even know if I would believe them, or you would believe them if I told you what they were. That's how good he was. Helping Nikola Jokic lead this team to the Western Conference Finals to face a Lakers team that just had them beat. They were just better. And with that Lakers team, LeBron James declining a little bit. I don't want to say he's washed because it's LeBron James, but that team declining, and with the Nuggets really on the rise, there is no dominant force right now in the Western Conference. We're seeing the rise of the Phoenix Suns, if you get the sun pun there. The Utah Jazz are really good, and the Los Angeles Clippers. Those are the 3 teams right now that are at the top of the West. You're going to have the Lakers. They're going to make a return when they make some moves and they get healthy. You're going to have some other teams, such as probably the Dallas Mavericks with Luka Doncic, rise. But I think this Nuggets team is perfectly positioned. They have enough young talent, established talent, and salary room to move things around alongside with a good coach in Michael Malone to make that championship run very soon. So despite getting swept, I don't think that's such a bad thing. I think they are positioned to be great in the next couple seasons. In terms of salary cap, really the biggest contract they've got in the books is Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray, they've already inked him to a massive extension. He's going to be making 31, 33, 36, and 38 million over the next 4 seasons, taking him right about to his age 28, age 29 season. I'm not sure when his birthday is, but Jamal Murray is going to play great basketball over the course of that contract. I know he is, because he's a guy that's going to come back even better than he was before the ACL tear. He's young, and he's clearly a hard worker. He's going to be good. Nikola Jokic, you're going to have to pay him. He's probably going to be making upwards of $40 million heading into the 2023-2024 season, but that means you only have 2 guys making around $30 million or so for that 2022-2023 season. Next year, you've got 2 making 30. The year after, you'll be having 2 making 30. And then after that, Murray is going to be making around 36, with Jokic making probably close to 40 when they sign him to an extension. So that's what you're looking at here. Aaron Gordon is a guy that's probably going to demand some money, but I think you could get away with paying him around like 15, 16-ish million for this team. That gives you plenty of room to bring in new role players. Paul Millsap's $10 million is going to be off the books. JaMychal Green's only making $7 million. He had some good moments for them. $4 million coming off the books with JaVale McGee. Michael Porter Jr., who is a stud. Michael Porter Jr. is so damn good. They're probably going to have to sign him to an extension pretty soon, which is something that's going to hurt them. But I think that this season is the chance for them to splash. I think the Nuggets need to make a couple big moves in this offseason before Michael Porter Jr. becomes a restricted free agent the year after. Because Michael Porter Jr., he is the key to this Nuggets team being as good as they think they're going to be. Michael Porter Jr. showed like KD-esque scoring potential, and I hate saying that because people always just compare like these lengthy, like really tall scorers to Kevin Durant, but he looked a lot like Kevin Durant at times. A little bit of J.R. Smith shot selection in there. He's definitely got to work on that. But having a guy like Nikola Jokic next to him who can get him good looks, and with the scoring prowess that he showed in the second half of this season, I think he is positioned to be one of, if not the best scorer of this next generation of NBA players. He's going to be incredible to watch in the coming years. And so when you have a young core of Jamal Murray, who is only 24, Jokic, who's only 26, and Michael Porter Jr., who's only 22 and getting better, alongside with Aaron Gordon, a solid piece at 25, you've got already both really good young and somewhat established core. They've already made a Western Conference Finals, the 3 of them outside of Aaron Gordon, and if they were healthy, they might have been my pick to come out of the West this season. Of course, the problem is, can they stay healthy? Jokic has shown the ability to be really durable and stay healthy. Michael Porter Jr. also got kind of beat up. He had some back problems coming into this series, and that is a concern. Coming into the draft, the reason he fell so far to the Denver Nuggets was his back concerns. But if he's able to stay healthy, I don't see any reason Michael Porter Jr. can't be a multiple-time All-Star. He can be an All-Star. Jokic is going to be an All-Star. He was the MVP this season. Jamal Murray can be an All-Star. And they also have interesting pieces that they can use to make trades. Bol is a guy that I think some team would be willing to bite on. If they put together some contracts like a Bol, maybe they put like a JaMychal Green's contract making $7 million, and maybe next season when Will Barton is making $14.8 million, picking up his option. I believe it's a player option. Yes, it is a player option. So he's going to pick that up because no team's going to pay him $15 million. If they put those 2 contracts and Bol together, they are in play to pick up another star, because they also, while building this team, haven't traded their draft picks. They have like all their draft capital available. So they've got draft capital, an interesting young piece in Bol. They've got contracts to match. This Nuggets team is well positioned to add another star to this team, and I think that's what they're going to do. I think by the time this Nuggets team rolls around heading into 22-23, that's the season I think that they will be ready to go to compete for a championship full time. I think there's a shot next season, but it depends on how Jamal Murray comes back and when he comes back from that ACL injury. But 2022, 2023, you'll have Murray locked up, you'll have Jokic locked up, Aaron Gordon will probably have been extended, Michael Porter Jr. will be locked up, so those 4 guys will be locked in and ready to go. And I think they'll have dealt Will Barton and some other pieces to get another stud. If they could get a stud small forward, not small forward, if they could get a stud shooting guard to put next to Jamal Murray. Maybe a Bradley Beal, something like that. Maybe someone else like a Zach LaVine ends up getting unhappy. These are just examples I'm pulling off the top of my head. But there are some really good star shooting guards out there, and maybe even some that we haven't seen establish themselves yet. But there's going to be someone unhappy by the time that rolls around. Maybe, for example, Kawhi Leonard leaves or wants out of Los Angeles and Paul George decides to follow suit. What's stopping the Nuggets from trading Bol, Will Barton, JaMychal Green, and a bunch of picks for Paul George? And you put a lineup out there of Jamal Murray, Paul George, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic. Are you kidding me? The Nuggets, I think, are uniquely positioned right now in the league. What you want for a championship team is a combination of veterans that like established guys, all-star caliber guys if you can get them, and some young talent. They've got both of those things right now, and even the young talent is established. Like I said, Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray have now been to a Western Conference Finals. This team is ready to go. They are ready to win a championship in the next 3 seasons, and that's the way I think they're heading. The NBA should be terrified of this, not just because of how much potential this team has already shown before Michael Porter Jr. even made his leap this season. Michael Porter Jr. wasn't very good in the playoffs last year, and they still made the Western Conference Finals. With Michael Porter Jr.'s jump, the addition of Aaron Gordon, and the potential to trade for another star, or if they want to just go the route of adding more role players, they could do that too. The league should be terrified of the Denver Nuggets. This Nuggets team is a super team potentially waiting to happen. Whether it comes by trade or just the way that Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., all these guys learn to play with each other and get better, they are a potential super team, a potential dynasty, a potential powerhouse waiting to happen. And so I think the Nuggets should be very excited about their future. I don't think Nuggets fans can be very disappointed in the way this season went. What you need to look at if you're a Nuggets fan is that Jokic is the MVP. Michael Porter Jr. showed crazy potential on the offensive side of the ball and even a little bit defensively at times. There still is a lot he needs to work on, especially guarding smaller guys, but he can work on that. He's young. And you need to look at what you saw between the time that Aaron Gordon was picked up and when Jamal Murray got hurt. Because between that time, the Nuggets looked unstoppable. And if you just took that team from that period and put them in the playoffs, I think they might have beat the Suns. And I think they might have won the Western Conference, maybe even the finals. So what are they going to look like when Jamal Murray comes back? What are they going to look like when Nikola Jokic keeps getting better? When Aaron Gordon keeps getting better? When they pick up potentially another star or just better role players? When Michael Porter Jr. looks like a star, an all-star caliber player? It's terrifying. So, that's what's next for the Denver Nuggets. I think it's a championship. Maybe not next season. I think the 2022-2023 is the season they should really be looking at, though, for a target date. If you're a Nuggets fan, that's the season, if I'm you, that I'm looking forward to as my potential championship. Maybe 23, 24 as well. Maybe even next season if Jamal Murray comes back quicker than we think and if he's ready to go. Who knows? But for right now, I hate that I'm in the Western Conference. I'm glad the Thunder are rebuilding because this Nuggets team is going to be really tough to beat in the coming years. So those are my thoughts on the Denver Nuggets. Let me know what you think about this team. Let me know, do you agree with me that they're a powerhouse waiting to happen? Do you think they could turn into a super team? Because I think they've got the potential to be ridiculously good. Let me know if I'm wrong about that. Let me know what you think about the way that their season ended. Is it disappointing? Or, like I said, were injuries just too much? I appreciate you guys watching this video. Shout out to Nuggets fans. Nuggets fans are cool. And I hope you enjoyed how much I praised your team in this video. I appreciate you guys watching. I will see you guys later.